Hi, everyone. This is Sandra. Welcome to Christmas at the Schwovin's Nest. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you could hit that red button. I'm starting off this project with these two reindeer. We can find these at dollar stores and Walmart all over the place, and they come in so many different shapes and sizes. I had these two from my stash last year, so I decided to do something a little different with them. Today's video is all about lake house or beachy themed Christmas DIYs. So I'm going to be using a lot of blues and greens, and I am dedicating this to all of my wonderful subscribers who live in the South and get warm weather all year. Today is the first snowfall up here in Ontario, Canada, and it's beautiful, but it's very chilly, and I'd much rather have the sunshine today. This is called Sky Blue, and I got it from the dollar store. However, I added a little bit of gray into it just to mute it down a little bit. All of those acrylics are so bright, and that's just not my style. So you can do whatever you want with your acrylic paints. You can mix them outside of the bottle, but what I like to do is just throw some drops in the bottle, and then I've got the color that I want all the time. The color that I'm using on this glass reindeer is called Antique Sky. Again, it was a really sort of bright minty green, and it wasn't antique at all in color. So I added a little bit of gray, and I think I added a bit of a blue color as well, and just created the color that I want. Now, this one is chalk paint, so I am still going to have to give this a couple of coats just to make sure that it's completely covered. Anything that's slick like this usually needs two coats. What I am doing though is I'm leaving the antlers this glass color, and on the blue one, I left the antlers that gold and silvery kind of finish. I just thought that would add a little bit of more of a unique look to these two pieces. I'm really excited to share that today's video is in collaboration with Mia over at Make It with Mia. She does some home decor DIYs, upcycles, and basically all your home decor needs are met with her channel. She's doing some Christmas DIYs right now, so make sure when you're done with my video, you go down to my description box and click on the link to her channel. Show her some love, tell her I sent you, make sure you like and subscribe. These wooden Christmas trees I had in my stash, and I'm just using the Cricut spatula to just very gently pry off the reindeer on the front of each of them, and I'll be able to use these for a different project. The first thing I'm going to do is just paint the sides and the back of these trees with some different types of paint. I'm using this one. It's called eucalyptus. It's a chalk paint, and I did only have to give this one coat. For the white one, it has more of a coated texture to it, so I needed to do a couple of coats with some navy blue paint on those. I looked in my stash again and I found two coordinating pieces of scrapbook paper. So I'm going to be using some Mod Podge to apply them to the front of each of the trees. Once I lay this down, I'll just use my fingers to smooth it down and make sure I don't have any bubbles. And then for an extra step, I'll just take my Mod Podge brayer and go over it as well. Once it had a few minutes to dry, I used some little craft scissors to cut the paper off. And once it's completely dry, then I'm going to be using my emery board just to sand off all of the excess paper. I used a coordinating paper for the white tree, which is the one that I painted sort of a navy blue. And I did the same thing. Mod Podge, press it on, use the brayer, and then sand off the excess. These trees are chunky enough that they will stand on their own, but I wanted to add a little bit more of a rustic feel to them. So I grabbed a couple of these birch pieces that I had sliced using my saw last year, and I still have them in my stash. I'm going to add a thicker one to this dark blue and then a thinner one to the green one, and that will just give them a little bit of a difference in height. I've got 3 wood fence board pieces here, and they're all the same size. They've already been painted this turquoise color, so I'm gonna go with it for now and just dry brush over it with some of the greens and the blue colors that I have, just to kind of tone it down a little bit and give it more of a rustic and distressed look. However, I didn't like how these were turning out, so I ended up switching gears a little bit and I painted one of them with the sky blue color that I used for the reindeer and the other one with a sage green paint. I also ended up painting the third one with the original turquoise color, but I didn't do a really thick coat. I just sort of dry brushed it on and I left some of the other original colors peeking through. I'm using a chalk marker just to draw some whimsical trees. And this is just a rough outline. I'm going to be going over the trees one more time with the chalk marker, making the lines a little thicker and accentuating things and making them look kind of fun. This isn't anything that you have to, trace. You can definitely just wing it and do your own thing. The great thing about DIY crafts is that if you don't like how it looks, you can paint over it and start again. This middle tree, I didn't like how it was turning out, so I ended up just painting over the white one more time and then I did something completely different. I made some adjustments to the design of this tree, and now I'm just going to be taking some of my white chalk paint and filling it in. I want this one to be a full filled in tree compared to the other ones, which will be just outlines. For this tree, I just went with my chalk marker again, and I'm just making everything a little bit thicker so it's more pronounced. I also added some additional little twigs onto the stem of the tree itself and onto some of the branches too. So for this last tree, I decided to do the branches in a different angle. I think it's super cute. And some of them are a little wonky, and I had to do like secondary lines for them to just kind of make it match. So what I'm going to do is just fill in sort of the edges of each of the branch like that and just color it in. And that will just camouflage any of the mistakes I made. Once the paint had dried on this tree, it was a little rough for the outline, so I went with my chalk marker one more time and just outlined all of the branches to make them look really nice and neat. For this last project, I'm taking this really sparkly and bright green bottle brush tree that I found at Walmart last year, and I'm taking a sage colored chalk paint and I'm going to paint all of the branches. Now, you're still going to see a little bit of that bright green coming through and some of the sparkles, but I just wanted to tone this down a little bit, give it more of a beachy or lake house feel with some muted colors. Using a stiffer paintbrush works really well because then that will give you the ability to kind of get in between all of the bristles and really paint well. I also used quite a bit of paint on my brush, so I was able to spread it around while I was in all of the nooks and crannies. If you wanted, you could also spray paint little trees like this, but I did not want to go out and buy $10 cans of spray paint for these tiny little trees and possibly only this one project. So it's totally up to you. If you have the colors that you like that you can spray paint, then by all means do that instead. Once the tree was completely dry, I took another paintbrush and dipped it into some white chalk paint, and I'm just running it over the tips of the branches, and this will give it the effect of snow. Laying down next to this green tree is a small bottlebrush tree, and that one was sort of a really dark hunter green color. I took that sky blue paint that I used on one of the reindeer and I painted that one this light blue color, and it turned out really pretty. You'll see that in the final reveal. I need something to put the bottle brush trees onto, so I found this scrap piece of wood. I'm just going to give it a couple of coats of white chalk paint. Using miter shears, I'm taking some of these little birch pieces that you can get in a pack at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut one in half, and that will be suitable for my two smaller trees. Then I'm going to grab a larger piece that is already cut for the big tree. Using quite a bit of hot glue, I just put a blob down right onto the tree stump, and I'll hold the bottlebrush tree in place until the glue sets up. I'll do the same for the two smaller trees. I set out the trees how I wanted them to look, and now all I'm going to do is use some hot glue to glue them down onto the scrap wood. This project turned out super cute, and I really like the effect of the different greens and blues that I used for embellishing these trees. Now let's take a look at all of these projects together and see how they created a beautiful lake house or beach themed Christmas vignette. I hope you enjoyed my lake house or beach themed Christmas DIYs. If you live down in the south with warm weather all day, I hope these inspired you to add a little bit of Christmas to your summer house this year. Please don't forget to go down to my description box and click on the link to see Mia's video and visit her channel and see all the wonderful things that she's created. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some of your time with me today. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Bye for now.